The stories presented in this video are real, but we have changed the characters' names and altered images to protect their identities. The creator of this video is not an investigative officer. These narratives have been sourced from various internet platforms. Our intent is not to accuse or target anyone in particular. Thank you for understanding.
Welcome to True Crime Stories Hub. Today we are going to discuss another cheating story in which husband's fatal betrayal is the main crime. In the year 1983, Anna Walsh, who was born in the Serbian town that was a war zone, was born. Anna, who was born and raised in Belgrade, attended the University of Belgrade in order to further her interest in French literature and language. She ultimately earned a bachelor's degree in French studies. Her decision to immigrate to the United States, where she eventually obtained dual citizenship, was made in the year 2005. Anna started a new chapter in her life when she moved to Virginia and began working as a housekeeper in a hotel. Nevertheless, her commitment, motivation, and compassion quickly drew the attention of her employers, which resulted in a series of outstanding positions at high-end hotels and resorts located all across New England. An example of such a business was the Wheatley Hotel, which was located in Lenox, Massachusetts. Over the course of her employment at the Wheatley, Anna came into contact with Brian Walsh. During that time period, Anna was already involved in a committed relationship with another individual. However, Anna's divorce gave an opportunity for her to reconnect with Brian Walsh in 2014. Brian Walsh was a complex man with a troubled background. He was the son of a distinguished neurologist who oversaw the neurology department at Brigham and Women's Hospital in Boston. Despite coming from generational affluence, he had a complex upbringing that led to his emotional and psychological issues. According to news sources, Brian's parents ignored him, leaving him feeling unloved and mentally traumatized. Brian's parents enrolled him in a top-notch boarding school in Rhode Island, hoping the superb education would compensate for their lack of attention. However, instead of nurturing him, they sent him away, further compounding his sense of abandonment. After completing his study at the boarding school, Brian enrolled at the famous Carnegie Mellon University. However, his studies didn't last very long, since he had to quit when he entered a mental health facility. Although Brian's parents had the wherewithal to pay for his care, they failed to decide who should assume responsibility for his treatment. As a result, he was compelled to depart the facility without the essential support. Brian wore several hats in his life, and his appreciation for the finer things in life was clear. One press account detailed an occasion where Brian acquired an entire stock of white truffles at a Boston restaurant, showing his affluence. Another person noted that even as an adolescent, Brian demonstrated this behavior, wearing a tuxedo and tie and sipping Pepsi in the lobby of a Ritz-Carlton while talking with high-powered brokers. In 2015, Brian's life took a shift when he met Anna and became engaged. The couple finally married and had their first child, followed by 2 more children a few years later. Anna and Brian Walsh's lives was not without its hardships. The couple encountered several problems, including legal troubles relating to fraudulent art trades. Using Anna's eBay account, Brian posted 2 Andy Warhol paintings as originals. In the description, he said that he was being forced to sell them owing to a recent redesign. Despite Brian's bogus statements, someone from California paid $80,000 for the paintings. However, upon receiving the artwork, the buyer found the paintings were counterfeit and sued Anna and Brian. The person who acquired the false paintings accused Anna of using her position in the hospitality sector to earn their trust and assist her husband to sell the falsified art in a civil suit. While Anna's precise awareness of her husband's illegal art dealings remains questionable, she penned a statement to the judge praising Brian for his position as a stay-at-home father. Despite Anna's best attempts, it was apparent that she was also prepared for the potential of Brian receiving a lengthy jail sentence. Anna had already taken efforts to relocate herself and her son's possessions into her Washington, D.C. residence, indicating she was going to make the relocation permanent. Anna was a remarkable woman. She was an extraordinary person, professionally and personally, known for her unrelenting dedication and compassion. Everyone around her sensed her presence, and her impact on their lives was clear. One of the most impressive elements of Anna's character was her unwavering commitment to her career. She addressed her profession with utmost seriousness and never took shortcuts. Her confidence and knowledge in her industry were clear as she constantly generated high-quality results. However, despite the responsibilities of her work, Anna's 3 sons retained a particular place in her heart. She was a devoted mother who placed her family above anything else. Her relentless efforts were driven by a great desire to provide her children with the finest possible existence. Anna's 3 sons were her world, and she enjoyed every time she spent with them. Despite frequently being away on work travels, Anna ensured she was always within reach. Modern technologies such as text messaging, phone conversations, and FaceTime allowed her to keep connected with her children regardless of physical location. This continual connection provided her with a sense of reassurance and allowed her to establish a deep bond with them. While Anna traveled for work, Brian remained home caring for their 3 sons. This arrangement was owing to an art fraud scam that Brian was involved in, which obliged him to stay at home under house arrest. With Anna usually traveling, Brian had to step up and ensure the boys were all taken care of. He made it his goal to offer a loving and nurturing home for them. Brian knew his boys were relying on him for everything, and he took that obligation seriously. He dedicated his time to being there for them and providing them with all the care and attention they needed. In addition to providing a caring environment, Brian also took on additional duty. He made sure the house was organized and working efficiently. On New Year's Eve 2022, Anna and Brian's close buddy arrived at their home around 8:30 p.m. to celebrate the holiday. Anna greeted the buddy at the door enthusiastically and in excellent spirits as Brian made dinner in the kitchen. Throughout the night, the trio engaged in numerous activities, including snapping photos and making plans for the future. The companion left about 1:30 a.m., and at that time, nothing seemed wrong at the Walsh household. Later on New Year's Day, the friend texted Anna and Brian to thank them for the good night. However, Anna never responded, and only Brian wrote back. Considering her customary promptness, it seemed weird that Anna would not reply, but her buddy thought nothing of it. Anna had a trip planned on January 3rd from Logan International Airport to Washington, D.C. But on January 4th, her superiors at Tishman Speyer and her husband Brian reported her missing. When the investigators investigating Anna's disappearance spoke to her husband Brian, he revealed that on January 1st, 2022, Anna left the house early to grab a flight from Logan International Airport to Washington, D.C. due to a work emergency. Brian reported that Anna took a ride-sharing service to the airport, but he was asleep when she departed. However, the police could not corroborate that Anna had called an Uber or Lyft or had been on a flight on January 1st. Additionally, her credit card and debit cards had not been used. The investigators asked their peers in Washington, D.C. to check Anna's residence in their city to see whether she was there, but they could find no evidence of her. A search began in a wooded area near her Cohasset home. Crime scene investigators equipped with K-9 units scoured around the Walsh's property and nearby area in search of clues. In addition to the local police department, state and regional police forces were dispatched to aid in the search and rescue efforts. Over 50 officers were actively involved in the search, deploying their experience and resources to uncover any evidence of Anna. Divers were also involved in the investigation, examining the area's waterways for potential leads. Unfortunately, their attempts yielded no indication of Anna. Despite intensive investigations, there was no indication as to where she may have gone. 6 days after Anna vanished, a local police detective got a ransom note demanding $127,000. The email from richardwalker9984@gmail.com at 5:18 p.m. stated, "We have the so-named Anna Walsh here. We had a contract for $127,000, but she fouled up. We have her here with us, and if she doesn't pay the money, then she'll never come back. We know that the FBI and police are involved. Good luck finding us." However, the ransom note failed to include any directions regarding how the police were to respond or meet the conditions. As the inquiry into Anna's disappearance advanced, the detectives working on her case unearthed some intriguing clues regarding her husband Brian. In the early 2000s, Brian approached his parents about a real estate deal involving an old, deteriorating home in Lenox. Brian proposed that his father would pay for the renovations, and he would divide the earnings with him when he sold the property. However, things took a change when Brian's father poured major money into the improvements. The restoration job ended up costing Brian's father about $500,000. On the night of the close, when Brian was meant to reimburse his father for his investment, he unexpectedly departed without informing his family. This episode left Brian's father feeling betrayed, resulting to alienation between them. Furthermore, the detectives uncovered that in 2019, following the death of Brian's father, he attempted to sell his father's home, even though he was disinherited from the will. Additionally, Brian was accused of writing $30,000 in bogus checks. However, the most frightening information the detectives discovered occurred in 2014, when Anna and Brian were engaged. Anna had contacted the police and informed them that Brian had threatened to kill her over the phone. However, the case was dropped once Anna stopped cooperating with the authorities. The police managed to speak to Anna's mother, who was overseas at the time. According to Anna's mother, Anna urged her to come to the United States the last time they spoke. Anna's mother remarked that she had a feeling that something horrible was going on. With Anna being missing and paired with Brian's threats and legal issues, Brian emerged as the major suspect in his wife's abduction. The police uncovered that in the days before Anna went missing, Brian had his mother engage a private investigator to track Anna's travels. This choice was reached when Brian lost communication with her for 24 hours while she was in Washington, D.C. Brian had gotten suspicious, believing that she was cheating on him. Brian spent his days meticulously watching Anna's Instagram and Facebook accounts while she was in D.C., searching for any evidence that would indicate she was cheating on him. His suspicions had been mounting for some time, and this inquiry was further strengthening his doubts. During the inquiry into Anna's disappearance, the police unearthed a vital discovery. They learned that Anna had been in a romantic relationship with a man living in Washington, D.C. When police visited the man in question, he told them that his relationship with Anna was open and honest. They had even spent Christmas Eve together. based on the man's alibi, he was soon ruled out as a suspect in Anna's disappearance. Despite this, the fact that Anna was having an affair and that Brian knew about it presented a reason for him to have been involved in her disappearance. On January 9th, Brian Walsh was detained for deceiving the police throughout the inquiry. His 3 sons, who were previously under his care, were placed in the custody of the DCFS, Department of Child Family Services. After Brian's arrest for misleading the police, he pled not guilty. Brian misled the police by offering false information during questioning. On New Year's Day, he told the cops that he left his home at 3 p.m. to visit his mother, but got lost since he neglected to take his cell phone. However, upon additional examination, it was revealed that Brian's story did not correspond with the evidence collected. Detectives got security camera footage from the Whole Foods and CVS, the places he claimed he stopped at on his alleged journey. Upon checking the footage, there was no evidence of Brian. Furthermore, he was unable to offer any receipts for the products he alleged he had purchased there. As a result, detectives were suspicious and thoroughly examined Brian's apartment in Cohasset, Massachusetts. In the basement of the Walsh property, investigators located a damaged, bloodied knife. This discovery prompted them to take the knife for evidence, analyzing it at the crime lab. The crime scene detectives carried out an exhaustive search of Anna and Brian's home, confiscating the couple's and their children's electronic gadgets. Anna and Brian's sons' iPads were thoroughly checked among the seized gadgets. Upon examining the iPad, authorities identified many unsettling searches conducted by Brian between 5:45 a.m. and 7:47 a.m. in 2023. These searches included queries such as how long before a body starts to smell, how to stop a body from decomposing, how to bury a dead body, 10 ways to dispose of a dead body if you really need to, can you throw away body parts, what does formaldehyde do, can identification be made from partial remains, dismemberment and best ways to dispose of a body, what happens when you put a body in ammonia, hacksaw best tool to dismember, can you be charged with murder without a body, luminol to detect, blood, how long for someone to be missing to inherit, how to clean blood from wooden floor, is it better to throw away crime scene clothes or wash them? On January 2, 2022, the detectives watched CCTV footage that recorded Brian Walsh visiting HomeGoods and purchasing 3 carpets. Further inquiry found troubling Google searches performed by Brian Walsh on January 2nd, including inquiries such as can you identify a body with damaged teeth? Additionally, on that same day, January 2nd, detectives discovered Brian Walsh's film on Home Depot surveillance cameras. He was spotted pulling a cart laden with various cleaning products, including mops, brushes, tape, baking soda, goggles, face masks, tarp, drop cloths, rubber gloves, and other items totaling $450. This conduct appeared odd as it implied a cleanup procedure. The police found fresh security camera footage, this time from an apartment complex in Abington on January 3rd. This video depicts Brian Walsh walking towards a dumpster with a garbage bag. Brian's stroll and the effort he made into hefting the bag into the garbage led detectives to believe that its contents were substantial. However, when investigators arrived at the location in Abington, they were unhappy to discover that the dumpster's contents had already been hauled to the disposal site and shredded before being burnt. This setback delayed their efforts to obtain additional evidence, as the garbage bag and its potentially incriminating contents had been destroyed. Upon inspecting the dumpster at Brian's mother's home in January, detectives discovered many items that sparked suspicion. Among these were garbage bags stained with blood, towels, rags, a Tyvek protective suit, goggles, slippers, and Anna Walsh's COVID-19 immunization card, a hacksaw, cutting blades, a pocketbook, and boots matching the ones Anna was last seen wearing were found. Furthermore, a part of a necklace that Anna had worn on New Year's Eve was discovered at the scene. After the items were analyzed at the crime lab, Anna and Brian's DNA was detected on the slippers and the suit. This development further reinforced the connection between the two things and bolstered the case against Brian. On the night of January 3rd, Brian returned home and ran a series of alarming Google searches. These searches included queries on topics such as what happens to hair on a dead corpse, what is the rate of decomposition of a body, what is the rate of decomposition on a body found in a plastic bag compared to a body found in a surface in the woods, and can baking soda make a body smell good? These searches generated even more red flags and led the police to assume that Brian was contemplating disposing of Anna's body. The detectives also meticulously searched a trash transfer facility where they discovered bloodstains. On January 18th, little over 2 weeks since Anna Walsh had gone missing, Brian Walsh was arrested once again, this time charged with murder and dissolving a body without authority. According to the prosecutors, Brian Walsh murdered his wife, Anna, by beating her to death. Following the murder, authorities stated that Brian dismembered Anna's remains and disposed of them in an unlawful manner. Anna's inexplicable disappearance in the United States generated broad media attention and garnered substantial attention in the country. The Serbian Ministry of Foreign Affairs, through the Serbian Consulate General in New York, actively engaged with the Norfolk District Attorney's Office to gather information to send Anna's mother, who was residing in Serbia. In 2024, Brian Walsh was convicted to a 37-month prison term for an art fraud case. During the summer of the same year, the prosecution informed the media that they were still waiting for the DNA test results on all the evidence obtained. However, they expressed confidence that the answers were arriving and anticipated obtaining the results soon. Brian's case has experienced a big twist as his defense attorney has opted to step aside from representing him in court. His defense counsel, who had been working on his case, ultimately felt he could no longer adequately discharge his duty. As a result, Brian's case was assigned to the public defender, Larry Tipton, an experienced attorney who specializes in representing clients facing criminal charges. When a case is moved from one attorney to another, the new attorney must analyze all pertinent information and evidence obtained during the legal process. This discovery process allows the new attorney to acquaint themselves with the case, uncover any flaws, and prepare an effective defense plan. In Brian's instance, the discovery review process has proven extremely hard, with over 1,000 pages of discovery to evaluate. Larry Tipton was faced with a significant responsibility. In January 2023, a psychologist named Dr. Robbie Ludwig spoke to News Nation and offered a speculative perspective on the scenario concerning Anna Walsh and her husband. According to Dr. Ludwig, she suspected that Anna may have been in an abusive relationship and danger. Dr. Ludwig's views were based on her own experiences and ideas, as she neither knew or treated either Anna nor her husband Brian Walsh. While on News Nation, Dr. Ludwig noted that there may have been underlying dynamics in the connection between Anna and Brian Walsh. She thought that Brian may have been scared by his wife's financial success and not financially bringing home money. This insecurity, according to Dr. Ludwig, could have aggravated any mental health concerns Brian already suffered, such as despair, anxiety, and wrath. Dr. Ludwig's theory hinged around the premise that Brian may have felt at risk of losing everything he had, including his wife and their 3 sons, a luxury home, and pride. During that same piece on News Nation, a picture of Anna was broadcast, and she uploaded it on Instagram before her disappearance. The photograph was a selfie that showed Anna with a laceration about her eye, and the caption said, however, there is no evidence to imply that Brian had anything to do with the wound on Anna. Anna Walsh's friends and family are genuinely concerned about laying her to rest properly, as they believe she deserves a decent funeral. Unfortunately, they lack the requisite resources, and the key suspect in her disappearance, her husband Brian, is not communicating. As a result, they are unable to carry out the essential arrangements. Until they unravel the mystery surrounding her murder, formal funeral preparations for Anna have not been made.